Okay, on the last one, I did -3 minus -9. It's actually -4. If I take 3 times -3, I get a -9. So it's -4 minus -9, which is the same as -4 plus 9, which is going to be a +5. And I accidentally wrote down a 6. So I wanted to make that clarification right quick before I get started on the next one. Go team. So the next set of matrices we're going to do is going to be multiplying matrices. What you need to do for these before you do anything is check the dimensions to see if you're allowed to multiply them. So if we look at number five has 2 rows and 2 columns, so it's a 2 by 2 times 2 rows and 2 columns, another 2 by 2. And what you have to check is if the numbers in the middle match. So this 2 by 2 in the middle matches, and then the numbers on the outside of that is what your answer matrix will be. So our answer matrix for that one will be a 2 by 2 matrix when it's all said and done. And I'll do that math here in just a second. Well, let's go ahead and check the other ones. This has 2 rows and 3 columns, so it is a 2 by 3 matrix. This has 3 rows and 2 columns, so it is a 3 by 2 matrix. So when we multiply those two together, once again, the numbers in the middle match, and the numbers on the outside will be the answer matrix. So this is all going to boil down to a 2 by 2 matrix when it's all said and done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. This is going to be a 3 by 2 matrix. This is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. So when I multiply those two together, the numbers in the middle do match. So that means our answer will be a 3 by 2 matrix. So it'll be 3 rows by 2 columns when that's all said and done. And over here I have a 2 by 2 times a 3 by 2. The numbers in the middle do not match. So there's two ways to say this. In some parts of the book they say not possible, but I think on your quiz and test it says undefined. So you just pick undefined as an answer for that one because you can't do it because the numbers in the middle don't match. All right, we'll do determinants here in just a second, but now that we've arranged these multiplying matrix problems to see which one we're allowed, to see which one we're allowed to do and which one we're not. So number 8 is undefined. We won't be doing that one. Let's go ahead and do 5, 6, and 7. All right, I'm gonna grab, I'm gonna erase this. I'll move it up just a little bit. Let's see, we'll try that. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this one is, let's see if I can't take it to another page. All right, so there we go. And what I have is a 2 by 2 times a 2 by 2, which is going to give us a 2 by 2 matrix when it's all said and done. I've gone over a number of these problems in the past on other videos, but I'm going to go over this one as well with the same explanation. We're going to grab this first row, and we're going to pick it up like Superman, and we're going to walk it over, and we're going to dunk it into this matrix. So if I take the 4 and the -2, and I pick it up, and I walk it over, I'm going to pour it into this new matrix over here, or the second matrix, and the -2 will drop down to the bottom, and the -4, or the +4, will sit right next to that -4. So it'll sit right like that. And what we're going to do now, the -2 dropped in first, the 4 sat right on top of it. I'm going to multiply those and add them together. So we're really looking at 4 times -4 plus -2 times -2. It's going to be a -16. A negative times a negative is a positive, so we'll have a +4. When we add those together, that gives us a -12. And that was the first row times the first column. So in my answer matrix, first row, first column will be a -12. We're going to take our 4 and our -2 and scoot that over here. So that I'll do the first row times the second column now, and it'll give me an answer in the first row, second column. It's going to be 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2, and when you add those together, you get positive 10. And positive 10 will be in the first row, second column. I get rid of this bad boy right here. Won't need that anymore. We'll just move it over here. And now I'm going to reach down and grab the second row, pick it up, walk it over, and drop it in so that the negative 5 hits the bottom first, and the 0 sits right on top of that. Again, I'm going to multiply these and add them so that I end up with 0 plus negative 5 and negative 2 is a positive 10, and we end up with another 10 right there. We'll scoot it over. 0 times 3 is 0. Negative 5 times negative 5 times 1 is a negative 5, and we have 0 plus negative 5, which just ends up being a negative 5. So our answers are negative 12, 10, 10, and negative 5, and we have a 2 by 2 matrix. If we take a look over here, we have a negative 12, a 10, a 10, and a negative 5. Negative 12, a 10, a 10, and a negative 5. Go team. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next one, number 6. All right, so for number 6, we have a matrix that's a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 2, so we are allowed to multiply these together. We're going to grab this first row and dump it in so that the negative 1 hits the bottom first. We have a negative 6 right on top of that, and we have a negative 4 right on top of that. The first number, negative 1, dropped in. The second number, negative 6, sat on top, and the negative 4 sits on top of that. I'm going to multiply these and add them. So I get negative 4 times 1 plus negative 6 times negative 2 plus negative 1 times negative 6. And when I do that math, we get negative 4 plus 12 plus 6, which is going to be 8 plus 6, which is 14. My answer matrix, we had said this on the previous page, since I have a 2 by 3 times a 3 by 2, I'm just going to have a 2 by 2 matrix as an answer. I did the first row times the first column, and I got the number 14. We'll scoot all these numbers over, maybe. There we go. We'll scoot these numbers over. We're going to multiply these and then add them so that this time I'm going to get a negative 4, a positive 6, and a positive 3. I add that together, and that's going to give me the number 5. And that'll be in this corner right here. Now what we're going to do is we'll take and get rid of that row. We'll grab the second row right here. We'll pick that up, bring it over, and drop it in so that I end up with, let's use that color. I end up with a 6, a negative 3, and a negative 2. I'm going to multiply those, negative 2, positive 6, and a negative 36, and then I'll add those together. That's going to give me a negative 32. And it's okay that, negative 32. And it's okay that that number is bigger. That's going to go in the second row, first column. So second row, first column is a negative 32. I have one more to do. We're going to do negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2. Negative 3 times a negative 1 is a positive 3. And 6 times negative 3 is going to be a negative 18. We'll add those together and we'll get a negative 17. And that negative 17 is going to go right there. And that would be our answer for that particular problem. Let's check and see if it's right. 14, 5, negative 32, and negative 17. And we are on number 6. 14, 5, negative 32, and negative 17. Go team. All right, let's try number 7. We already proved that number 8 is undefined, so we'll just do number 7, and that'll close this video. So for this one, what we're looking at here is we have a 5 and a negative 3. We're going to grab that row. And once again, this is a 3 by 2 times a 2 by 2. So the numbers in the middle match. The numbers on the outside will tell us that this is going to be a real long 3 by 2 matrix. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the math on that. I grab my 5 and negative 3. I walk it up, drop it in. And I'm going to do 5 times negative 6 is a negative 30. And negative 3 and negative 4 is a positive 12. When I add those together, I get a negative 18, and that would be in the upper right-hand corner up here, negative 18. I'm going to take my 5 and negative 3 and multiply it to the next column. This is going to give me 5 and negative 3 is a negative 15. Negative 3 and 5 is another negative 15. And so that's going to give us a negative 30, big numbers. So we got a negative 30 in that second or first row, second column. Now I'll move down. This one should be easier because it's got a big fat 0 in it. So when I go to multiply that one, I'll move this out the way. I'm going to place the 0 in first, and the 2 sits right on top of that. So when I multiply them, I get a negative 12 and a 0, which gives me a negative 12. That is second row, first column. So in the second row, first column, I have a negative 12. Let's go ahead and multiply the next one. We're going to have a negative 6 and a 0, which is a negative 6, and that would be second row, second column. So that one happened pretty fast. 2 times negative 3 and 0 times 5. Works out nice that way. Let's go ahead and move this down. Maybe. There we go. We're going to grab the 1 and the 6. We'll pick that bad boy up. We'll walk it in. We'll put the 6 on the bottom and the 1 on top. When we multiply that one here, we'll use a different color. We're going to have 1 times negative 6 is a negative 6, and 6 times negative 4 is a negative 24. When we add those together, we get another negative 30. We're going to drop a negative 30 right in there. Last row, first column. Booyah. I'm going to do the same thing again with this second column over here. So just for math's sake, we'll move these over. And we're going to multiply these numbers and then add them together. That's going to give us a negative 3 and a 30, which gives us a positive 27, and a 27 will go there. So negative 18, negative 30, negative 12, negative 6, negative 30, and 27. Jump over and see if that's what we got. 18, 30, 12, 6, 30, and 27. I think that's what we had. Yep, there it is. Now, what's going to happen on your quiz is, or your test, I'm going to have a row 1, and you're going to have to type in a negative 18 and with a space and a negative 30. And then it'll ask for row 2, and that'll be a negative 12 and a negative 6. And then it's going to ask for row 3. And for row 3, you'll type in negative 30 with a space and a 27, just like you would spaces on the other ones. And that's how you're supposed to type that in. The reason for that is because Google hasn't advanced enough for me to be able to use matrices in your Google form. So you just tell me what row 1 is. You tell me what row 2 is, row 3. If for some reason, like we go back to number 5, the answer is a 2 by 2 matrix. Now I ask you for row 1, and the answer is negative 12, 10. I ask you for row 2, and the answer is a 10 and a negative 5. And then I ask you for row 3, but there is no row 3. Like it's not there, right? So you just say none. No big deal there. And you might run into a couple of those problems. The reason why I do that is because I do have students that don't know what they're talking about, and they'll type in answers and they'll miss that question. But then I have other students that get it. It's a 2 by 2 matrix. There is no third row, Mr. Studer. And so you just say no row, none, doesn't exist, undefined, whatever you want. But the reality is I want you to tell me what row 1 is, where row 2 is. If row 3 exists, type it in. There is no row 4, so you wouldn't even, like I didn't bother putting that on there because it just isn't one. However, I'm testing your knowledge as far as what you know. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and close this one out. And we got one more video for matrices. We're going to talk about determinants next. So stay tuned for that. You guys have a good one.